back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hey guys, so I am here to do a video all about the books that I got over since I last saw you, I guess. I got a few for myself, I got a few sent to me from publishers, and generally they've just been piling up, and I keep meaning to do some sort of book haul, and I just hadn't really been feeling up to it, and now's the time. So let's dive in. First up, something that's not actually a book, but is pretty cool. One of my friends for Christmas got me this, which is Un livre sur les fleurs, and basically it's a little vase that you can put flowers in, but it looks like a book, and I just thought that was really cute, so I just thought I'd mention it. My mum also got me this little dragon off Etsy recently, who I don't know if I've shown him before or not, but he's really cute as well. It's like something you can kind of articulate and hold, and she's really cute. So two little bookishy dragony things that I recently got given that I just thought I would share. Also, one of my other friends for Christmas got me a bookish book nook that you build and then you like put it in your bookshelf. Looks really cool, have not done it yet. Has anyone built a book nook? How do you do those things? I've got no idea, so I'm excited to try. I just hope I can figure it out. We'll see how I get on. For Christmas, my husband actually bought me a book, which he very, very rarely does because he's always afraid that I might already have it, although he lives in the same house and can check, but still. He bought me this one, and he, I think, mainly bought it based off of the cover looking very nice and him thinking I didn't have it, which I didn't. It does sound pretty cool, so I think this is a fairly new release. It says, "The Night Empire casts a long shadow over the lands. Nothing can stand in the way of its might and power. Year by year the hurricane wars take, and yet there is hope in the darkness. One lone light stands against the empire." So it does sound like stereotypical big epic fantasy with a big war at the centre of it all. I think our main character is called Taliesin, who was an orphan, left on the steps of the Sardovian orphanage as a baby, and all she's ever known is the hurricane wars. So it sounds like there will be political machinations and political warfare going on, and just beautiful artwork. The cover design was done by Kelly Chong, and I love it. I've also just realised that there's amazing maps in the end papers, so that's really cool as well. Very happy to have this one. Very intrigued to try out a new author because I've not read anything by this author, and I do think they are gorgeously marketing this. It does have a little dragon in the background there, so I hope that means there is some sort of dragony thing, and it does seem to be inspired by like more Eastern culture, which is something I really like in fantasy as well, so I'm excited to give this a go. Next up, I have a book that I bought for myself. I went up to London last week and I enjoyed myself. I went up with my mother-in-law and we both really like books, although various types of books, and we just had a day out in London going to a couple of bookshops. So I found a new Waterstones, new to me, probably been there for ages, on, I think it was called Gower Street or Gover Street, something like that. And it was huge and I could not believe it. And I spent ages and ages trawling through the shelves and enjoying myself in the sci-fi and fantasy section and the kids section as well, because obviously I have a small child. But yes, I found this book there, and it is translated from Korean. It's called The Delegate Dream Department Store, and it was apparently a #1 bestseller over there. The Dream You Ordered is sold out. It's by Mai Lee, and it was translated by Sandy Jusun Lee. So I had not heard of the author, not heard of the translator, but it sounded really interesting. It's this concept where there's this big department store and you go there as a customer to buy dreams. I don't really know an awful lot more than that, but the writing style felt very easy and approachable. There's not a huge amount of text on the page. It is quite a short story, only 240-ish pages. So I think this is a duology, and only the first book has actually been translated so far, so I do hope, if I commit to reading it, that the second one also gets translated soon. I think the translation version only just came out fairly recently, and hopefully they're working on the next one. I do think the cover art is, again, really beautiful on this, and that was the most eye-catching thing to me. It kind of drew me in. The cover art is by Sejong Kwon, and I just thought it was really fun and bright and vibrant, and this sounded like a book that could be really enjoyable if it's done well, so I hope it is. Bit of a gamble but we'll see if it pays off. Next up, I have a book by an author that I've read before. In fact, you can see his previous series down here, and that is David Hare, which is an author I really enjoy and have typically enjoyed all of his books. David Hare writes generally big fantasy stories with lots of POV characters, very complicated, generally inspired by a slightly more Eastern culture rather than Western, which I tend to enjoy. However, I don't know an awful lot about this particular series. I was contacted by the publisher and they just said, would you like to take it and read it? And I was like, absolutely. I love David Hare's other stuff, so I will absolutely give it a try. So it sounds like there is a group of knights called the Falcons, and they are part of the Vestal Order, and they are determined to go against the Vir, VYR, who are the bestial creatures of this world, and they have apparently been unleashing carnage. But when they capture a Vir who is alive and they interrogate him, they find out that actually it's maybe not them who needs to be feared in the land. It could be the Vestal Order itself. It's about 450-ish pages, so it's a chunky one, which I would expect nothing less from David Hare in general. That's what he does. There seems to be these kind of almost orc-likey creatures on the front, so maybe that is kind of what the Vir, VYR, are. I don't know, but I'm intrigued to read another David Hare series. I had no idea he was bringing a new series out, so I'm always excited to try something new by him. Next up, I got sent a book which I have already read, and actually 2 books that I've already read now. The Lost War, which I absolutely loved when I read it for the SPFBO couple of years back now. This was republished recently by Orbit, and then the second one has just come out a couple months ago, and that is The Bitter Crown. Now, The Bitter Crown was one of my most anticipated reads, and I definitely did enjoy it. I do think it would have been more fun having read them back to back, because this one ends on a huge cliffhanger, and then this one launches in straight after that. So I do think if you're going to read them, reading them back to back would be a great way to do it. I am really grateful to have these new editions, because the other version that I have of this one is the self-published version, which doesn't look anything like this. But I really, really enjoyed this book, and I enjoyed the second one as well. So I certainly recommend them if you're looking out for something that has an awful lot of twists and turns. I am very grateful to have these two. And they will proudly go up on my shelf. I was very kindly sent the second and third books in a series, which are these two. Unbound, which is book 2, and Defiant, which is book 3. The author of these books kindly sent them to me, which is Michael R. Miller, who is a lovely guy who I've met at various conventions, and his books are fun. So this is his latest series. It's a chunky one. It's beautifully produced, by the way, for self-published books. I must admit, these are gorgeous editions, and I really like them. They feel really nice because they're like that matte texture, which I just enjoy. So I actually have already read the second one, and I will probably review it fairly soon. And I've read the first one as well. I've not read the third one yet, so I will have to get to that one fairly soon. But I'm really pleased to have these two, so I can put them next to the other one on my shelf and keep them looking beautiful. I also was sent by the author a little kind of novella which is set in the same world, I believe. So I've not read this one yet either, but I am pleased to have it and very much looking forward to giving it a try. Another book which I was kindly sent by the publisher is the new Patrick Rothfuss novella, which is called The Narrow Road. I got sent this when it was coming out, and I just have not got to it yet. I haven't even taken the bow off, as you can see. We should probably do that, so let's do that. This is a new novella from his Kingkiller world. I definitely enjoyed the Kingkiller books, but obviously there's no sign of book 3 as yet, so who knows when that's coming. It says it is a stunning reimagining of The Lightning Tree in a touching standalone story, beautifully illustrated by Nate Taylor. Ooh, I didn't realise there were illustrations. Let's have a look. Love that. Oh, they are nice illustrations as well. And they're all throughout the book, so they're not just like one single page in the book every now and then, but they're actually dotted around as parts of the page as well, which is lovely. I was also kindly sent by a different publisher some manga, which I've not really talked about manga on my channel much at all, because I don't tend to read it very much. It's not because I actively avoid it, I just never really find it either. So I got sent 2 different volumes in 2 different series, and these were kindly sent by Titan, which is The Witch of Thistle Castle. And if you want to have a look at the interior, you can see it's all black and white manga panels. manga you read backwards, which always confuses me, but I'm sure I will get my head into it again. The last in a long line of witches of the Blackwood, Marie Blackwood lives in a quiet life of Edinburgh, away from the scrutiny of the church. But when the church thrusts 13-year-old Theo into her hands for safekeeping, Marie gains the responsibility not just of taking care of a teenager, but of protecting the world and Theo himself from the amazing power that lives within him. So I'm intrigued to give this a go. Always happy to try some new stuff, and hopefully I will like this one. The other one I got sent is this one, which is Alpi the Soul Sender, again, volume 1. Don't know an awful lot about it, but I do really like the cover art of this one. I just think that is such a beautiful kind of, so anime, so manga, so evocative, beautiful. Like, I just really enjoy this sort of watercolor art style that's like beautiful stuff. I don't know, it reminds me of some games I've played before and such, which I love. In the magical world of Alpi, divine spirits are the source of all life, communities living in harmony under their protection. However, when their lives end, a terrible curse drives them to evil, and these malign spirits must be sent to the afterlife by the soul senders. Alpi is one such girl, talented despite her young age and assisted by her familiar Perenai. So, sounds good to me. I'm excited to try this for sure. Little glimpse of inside if you're interested. And that's those two. Sticking with some of the Titan releases, these I'm really excited about because I, as I mentioned earlier, have not been reading graphic novels for a while, and this duo, Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda, are two people that I really love when they write together. They did the Monstrous series, and I love the Monstrous series. It's just wild and dark and creepy and everything that's fun about graphic novels. And this is called The Night Eaters, Volume 1 and 2 I was kindly sent, and it's beautiful. Full page colour, art, illustrations. Sounds like it's going to be a fun story, probably quite dark knowing them, because Monstrous was pretty bloody at times, and I'm sure this series may be as well. It sounds like it follows two twins who are Chinese American, and they are called Millie and Billy, and they are being forced by their mother to go and help empty out a abandoned, decrepit house next door. And when they get there, it sounds like their parents have an awful lot more going on than they seem, possibly even supernatural gifts, and no doubt it is gruesome because it usually is with these two. So I'm excited to give these a go. I'm going to definitely find like a cozy afternoon when I just sit down and read through this, because I think it's going to be super good for like these dark, horrible winter evenings that we don't want to do anything. I'm going to read a graphic novel. Nearly finished with my stack of books. I actually only have 2 left, and these are 2 that I recently picked up myself because they just sounded interesting. The first one is called Rhapsodic. Laura Thalassa is the author, and it is book 1 in the Bargainer series. Now, I picked this one up just because of the blurb, really, so I'll read it to you. Calypso Lyris is a siren with a very big problem, one that stretches up her arm and far into her past. For the last 7 years, she's been collecting magical IOUs for favours she's received. Only death or repayment will fulfil the obligations. Only then will the beads disappear. Everyone knows if you need a favour, you go to the bargainer to make it happen. He's the man who can get anything you want at a price. And everyone knows that sooner or later he always collects. When Callie finds the bargainer in her room, a grin on his lips and a twinkle in his eyes, she knows things are about to change. At first it's just a chaste kiss, a single bead's worth, and a promise for more. For the bargainer, it's more than just a matter of rekindling an old romance. Something is happening in the other world, and the mystery goes on. There's more to the blurb, but to be honest, I don't want to read it out because I don't want to sort of spoil it all. But yes, it sounds really cool. I like the concept of bargaining for dark deeds and having to repay your debt to people and that kind of thing. That's always a concept that I think goes well with fantasy books. So I mean, intrigued for sure to see how they play it in this book. I don't know anything about this author, so I haven't read any more of her books if she's got any others, but this sounded like it wouldn't be too heavy, so I'm definitely intrigued. But I picked this one up just based off of that, really. I don't often read things about sirens either, so that's a niche I could get into. And the final one that I picked up is this one, Black Candle Woman, Bound by a Deadly Curse, They Must Face Their Demons by Diane Marie Brown. And again, I've not read anything by this author, haven't heard anything about the book, so I've no idea if it's any good or not, but it's based on the Montrose women who have lived alone for their secrets for generations, and they have a delicate peace depending on the unspoken bond that underpins their family life. Voodoo and hoodoo magic, a decade-old curse that will kill anyone they fall for. So it's all about one of the younger members of the family who is bringing home a boy for the first time, and their careful balance is thrown into disarray. And it sounds as though she is then going to have to understand all the secrets of her family. It sounds like it's going to be a blend of historic and family curses, ties, history, all that kind of stuff, along with a modern romance. So I'm intrigued. It sounded fun. It just sounded a bit different. And I loved the cover. I just thought it was absolutely stunning. These three women who look like probably all members of the same family through the generations. And I just thought it was absolutely beautiful. It was designed and illustrated by Kathleen Udet. So absolutely loved that cover art, completely drew me in, and I bought the book. Let's hope it's a good one. I'd love to hear if you guys have read any of those books that I just talked about. What did you think of them, and which ones sound the most interesting to you? Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video very soon. Bye everyone.
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.